PU, you know, Galileo, spiritual bits. Okay. We are not ashamed of the gospel. More than conquerors are we. I'm not moved by what I see. Only moved by the word of God. The champions and senior, everybody and senior, and senior, let's go there. The champions and senior, everybody and senior, and senior, we are champions. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. Champions say hallelujah, 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 champions say hallelujah. Over and over again we see the touch of your greatness, Lord, in
From the
us.
Savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
exclusively on ABC Amber TV. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Ethics for an Emerging Nation. It is our pleasure once again to welcome all of you on board who are coming in for this very important dicey program on ethics for an emerging nation. And today, we'll be having as our guest the Department of Finance. And before we get to the Department of Finance, I would like to ask our brother who is in the house, Dr. Tom Dula, to please come in and give us a word of introduction again on our ethics before we get into talking with our guest. Dr. Tom, if you are there, please, can you just come in and hold on the key before we bring in our other partners that are supposed to be here? Over to you.
Yes, hello, good evening. Pastor Commander, good evening, fellow Ambazonians, and welcome to the only legitimate voice of the people's quest for total restoration of independence of Southern Cameroons, the ABC Amba TV, the voice of our revolution. Welcome you here on board, all of you, and thanks to the team, the ABC Amba TV, all the technicians, and the co-workers that always make this show possible. My name is Tom Ndula from Babisi LGA, Gogotunja County. I'm the Vice Chair of the Ethics Commission. Today we are talking about something very, very important. Some say money is the root of all evil, the cause of many problems. People have used money or rumors about how money has been spent to try to derail this revolution. And with time, we've learned from all the mistakes 5 years down the line, and things have been modified and perfected in such a way that we today have a Department of Treasury, Department of Resource Mobilization, headed by people who have an impeccable history of honesty, accountability, and trustworthiness. The person of Nijo and Ma Irene. So we will be glad to have him here today with us to tell us about how his department is structured and how they do it. He and his combe to always pull in large resources out of the pockets of us Ambazonians in our war drafts. So today we welcome Nijo to our program.
I'm sorry for that mix up there. Nijo, you are welcome into our program. And before we go ahead, we just want to. Nijo, are you with us? All right. Nijo,
Oh
are
yeah,
you with
I'm
us
on.
here? All right. Okay,
Um,
Nijo, good. Yeah, we are on ethics for an emerging nation, and today we have the Department of Finance. But before the Department of Finance came in, we had all the 13 counties that came in here, and then they talked to us about what they plan to do as far as ethics is concerned in their departments. And we had a great time with all these counties, first of all, and then we now went on to the departments. Your department is coming in today to give us an insight of what you plan to do and how you plan to carry out ethical values in your department. But before we go, the ethics department has a monologue that will always read out to encourage our different departments and counties to see the reason why we are coming up with these ethical processes or ethical talks in this particular of our struggle for our nation. Now, we don't sit down to build a nation only when we are there. We start building the foundation while we are gathering the strong materials to bring it in. And so the Ambazonian liberation movement is very unique compared to all other revolutions in the world. Why? Because of the institution of an ethics commission during the time of war. Our fathers had the foresight of the uphill battle we faced to repair the destroyed moral fabric of Ambazonia. What holds a nation together is its moral values. La Republique's inversion and occupation of Ambazonia has taken a moral toll on Ambazonians, making making moralizing Ambazonians again a battle we must fight to win. The assault on our morality began when La Republique took out civics from our school curriculum. The importance of ethics in a nation cannot be emphasized enough. This is the right time for the ethics awareness campaigns in all tiers of government and communities in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. It was this man called Edmund Burke who said, "Liberty does not exist in the absence of morality." Ethics for an Emerging Nation is an educational program to help you with the information and tools you need to moralize your communities and governments. We have already discussed, as I said in the beginning, topics like templates, that is forms for complaints, conflict resolutions, appeals, and financial conflict of interest disclosure forms. We've discussed all this. We've discussed ethical leadership and its importance. We've discussed guidelines for receiving and giving gifts by government employees, misuse of position, the role of the people in upholding ethical standards in the nation, the role of the church in moralizing the society. Standard code of conduct for Ambazonians, business ethics, media ethics, sports cultural ethics, medical ethics. Ambazonians, we encourage you to watch these programs again on our ABC Amba TV Facebook page and YouTube, and use the information to moralize your communities. Now, if by next year we are still standing where we are, we shall invite you to update your ethics awareness campaign in your LGA community. When we are done with this ethics awareness in all counties, like I said, we will start with different departments. We have already done the Department of Women Services. We have done the Department of Home Affairs. We have done the Department of DSS. We have done the Department of Foreign Affairs. We have done the Department of National Treasury. And today we are in for the Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization. So it is on this note that we have the boss for the Department of Finance and Mobilization come into the studios to give us a briefing on how you will carry out these ethical values or teachings to make sure that Ambazonia is not running helter-skelter when it comes to the Department of Finance and Mobilization. So, Ni, you are welcome, and the microphone is yours right away. Over to you.
Well, fantastic. Can you hear me? Just for a check. Can you hear me, Pastor Commando, and your team?
Yes, we can hear you 5 on 5.
Oh, right. Okay.
you
There's a bit
were.
of silence. Sorry. So I thought, I haven't just been on to your program. I thought I'd check that you can hear me. So permit me greet my brother, Dr. Tom Dula, who has served as one inspirator in this revolution for me. Spent time with him in Germany and learned a lot from him. So my privilege, Doc, to be with you on the same panel, and particularly an issue that you are one of the limelight holders, and of course, privileged to be with Mamanka on the same platform. It doesn't happen very often, so I'm privileged, Mom. And thank you for making time to be with me and accepting me into your family. And of course, our program coordinator, Pastor Commando. Greetings and thank you for the opportunity. When I was given the invitation, to pop up tonight, I thought you can't say no to an invitation from this committee. And just listening to you introduce the program, reading through all those ethics and codes of conduct, I think it gives me a privilege to appreciate the work you guys are doing, and of course to have the opportunity to learn from you guys, and of course make our emerging department under an emerging government of an emerging country successful. That's my mission tonight, to learn from the best, and hopefully I take home some lessons. We are in a position where after ASCC 2 of Washington, D.C., there's been a few expectations in terms of the ethics for an emerging nation, and particularly our department. And the department has been, shall I say, upgraded. Normally, initially we were directorate at the presidency, and then a few months back we were upgraded and transformed into a department. And with that, recruitment has been our key task for the moment. I'm pleased to say we are gradually building the department, and we are at the moment a count of between 10 and 14 active members. And you can see, you can tell our commitment during the various county drafts that are ongoing, and you can see many people volunteering to support us. Right. Your introduction was quite elaborate. I'm not sure what angle to start on. I would be grateful if you could pinpoint what you would like me to start on. And before I do, sincere apologies to your viewers. Accept greetings from my department, and of course, 21 gun salute to our resistant, I call them resistant and stubborn ARF on home front for making us ever so proud. It will be unforgivable to start a program like this without mentioning them. So 21 gun salute to everybody, every stubborn and resistant ARF and on home front. We laud your bravery, and we support you with all the might that we can. Thank you. Yeah. So, Pastor Commando, please, if you could help hold my hand across this bridge, let me know where to put my first step, then we can get across.
All right. Okay. Mamanka is in the house. I will just hand over the microphone to her to give a little rundown and give you some tidbits from where you will develop to build up exactly what we normally do, or we ask for the people who come in here to talk about these ethical values in their department. And so, Mamanka, the microphone is yours. So you just take over and go ahead and brief. Okay, over to you.
It's been a while. It's been a long time. I haven't been, and I have missed every moment of it. Today, I'm happy that one of our most successful departments, the resource mobilization, is in here. So I want to recognize Nijo, the SOS of resource mobilization. Of course, I can't even start to say a word without thanking Pastor Commando for holding the line and kept it moving. Thank you so much, Pastor Commando, for keeping ethics for a developing nation going on and on and on. The most watched program. Dr. Ndula, of course, of the ethics committee, of the ethics department, the deputy director of ethics department. I want to appreciate you for being the steadfast person of who you are and of being a co-panelist again with me today. Nijo, so we want to discuss with you. I know last week you guys were here, but unfortunately I didn't watch it because I have been extremely involved in other things with relationship to my job. So today what we want to really discuss is the fact that how is our financial institution going to be different from what we have currently going on with the criminal La République organization calling itself a government? How is our financial institution going to be different when we reach Boya? Can you talk to us about that, please?
Very, very happy and humble and have an opportunity to discuss that. I'm not sure how long this program is geared to run, but when you ask that question, I can go on and on and on, and so give me some limits. But I know
I'm going to give
that
you some limits. Some of the limits we want to discuss would be ethics
yeah.
of finances. Do you guys
Mhm.
have the ethics in our financial institution? Can you talk on
Yeah.
that? How is it
Okay.
going to be different from the ethics of what is going on right now in the criminal government of Paul Biya?
Brilliant. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now I can take a breather. Okay. As you've said, thank you for the opportunity. As you said, you last week, the other side of this coin, if you see what I mean, was on this program. And when you have a coin, you have two sides. When you have a finance, then you must think of a treasury where that money is stored. So last week, your audience, Amazonians, had the opportunity to listen to the Iron Ladies of the Treasury, Myrin and Ma Victorine. Were very elaborate. I followed it from start to finish. And so today, I'm quite pleased that you've turned the coin the other way around to have the heads. So I'm here to talk about how this money gets into the treasury and what we need to do. And thank you for highlighting the shambles of La République du Cameroon. That is one of the main reasons we are where we are. And looking through our listening to Pastor Commando introduce the program with a few of his ethics, codes of ethics for members of government, code of ethics for the various departments as should be. The words that you see through those things are trust. You know how you can earn trust, how you can perform your task, your duty, your responsibilities with impartiality, allegations, avoid all of those allegations and what crumbles society normally. And that's when ethics comes in. And when you talk of finance and you talk of the ethics of finance, I think the very first question or the first ideas that come to people's minds will be checks and balances. If you have an income, how do you make sure that all of that money has been spent on what is meant? So we have to put in checks and balances so the money doesn't get disappeared in the system, as we come to see. One of the words you can also talk about is transparency. Is everybody around you aware of what is happening to their money? Can you report on that money? Can you give account of what you've done? Can you reassure people of the safety of their money? And of course, transparency goes with accountability. Now, for all of this, for checks and balances, for transparency, for accountability to exist in a system, the system has to be designed such that this is evident. If you have a system that is designed, and I'm thinking about La République here, you have a system that is designed and nobody knows what is happening. Nobody knows what is expected of staff. Nobody knows where there is any transparency. Nobody knows where there's no accountability. Then there are lots of questions in people's minds. And the shambles we have in Yaoundé has no chance to be in the system that the interim government currently is designing for Ambazonians. Can I just check? The background is changing. Is that on purpose or an error, technical error? Can you hear me?
Clear. Can you hear
Nijo,
us?
Nijo, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
just
I
go
just
ahead. You
I
are
thought
very
I'd check.
good.
Yeah, there was something
No,
not
no.
quite right. So I thought I'd check. Otherwise, I could spend the
Yeah,
evening talking to myself in this room.
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, sorry, thank you. I just had to do that to be sure that you were following. So we have a system where let's leave La Republique with the mess that we all know. You know, it's no point talking about it. I would rather spend time talking about what your government, what the IG has put in place to ensure that there are checks and balances, there's transparency, there's accountability, all of that with the little finances that we can get from Amazonians. We haven't gotten to a situation where we have budgets with loans. A government's role in most governments is to ensure that the income, the nation's income and expense balance is checked and balanced. But before we get into that, our income solely now is like a drops of rain coming in, but we need to start managing those drops of rain effectively, with a lot of transparency, accountability. So when that converts into little streams, then we were able to control that, let alone when it gets into the size of an ocean. And for that to happen, again, I mentioned my experience in this government starting in Berlin with Dr. Ndula moving me around. I have been groomed in this IG such that when I had the opportunity to work at the presidency, then on that Directorate of Resource Mobilization, we started putting the structures in place to make sure that when we draft, we should be able to tell people, we should be able to tell donors at that event how much they've raised, so that as they go away, if the event happened on a Saturday, by Sunday morning they should know how much they raised, so that Monday morning they can start checking with the county or the department that was drafted to say, okay, last week you had this amount of money, it's coming. Can we see how that has been spent? That was the very first thing we started doing. And then we had the opportunity that after ASSC2 Washington, we were upgraded from the directorate at the presidency to a full-fledged department, and this time with additional responsibilities as the title entails, finance and resource mobilization. We embarked on a recruitment because having gone through this little journey with this government for the past 3 years and running the fundraisers as we have done, we could tell what questions Amazonians are keen to ask. And those questions surround the topics I've just talked about: checks and balances, transparency, and accountability. And for that to happen, effectively, we needed people to be in strategic positions, performing strategic roles, so that the information that they need, or the information that donors need to build their confidence, to build the trust in the system, is available. So we currently have a proposed structure. I don't know if our producer has that to put on the screen for me to explain what we have in mind. If you do, I can talk through. Otherwise, I have it. You know, we worked on it, so I know how it looks like. But it'll be easier. Do we have a copy? Can we put it on the screen for Amazonians, for your viewers to see what we're talking about? Is it possible?
Pastor Commando, do you have it?
What's that?
Do you have the
Okay,
structures for the Okay.
our departments submitted, I can send it to you again. We submitted, as part of the preparation for this presentation, a proposed structure for our department. Okay, if I send it to you, are you able to put it on the screen for viewers?
All right, Senate, let's
Okay.
see. While you are talking, we'll get to the
Yeah.
technician to see if they can put it on board. We normally get those statistics and then give them to the technician to hang on for us.
Of course, of course.
So,
So if you haven't got
so
it,
you send.
okay. If you haven't got it, it might be an issue. But I've got it here. I can send it to you by
Yeah, do go
WhatsApp.
ahead. Go ahead, send it.
Okay. I'll send it to you by WhatsApp, and then we'll see if you can't get on the screen. Don't worry, I can talk it through. The trouble will be your viewers might not have the right information, but if they had the diagram, it will be much easier. I've just sent it to your
Okay.
forum.
All right.
Um,
Okay, I've seen
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, um, in order to accommodate the ethics of finance, and of course, then document that we had a successful recruitment and we had a successful departmental meeting that resulted in that document. We are at the stage where we are submitting it to the authorities for approval or amendment, and then we can implement that. And once we have it on the screen, I can talk through our ideas. And of course, with your expertise in the line of ethics, you can have a look and perhaps give us a few more suggestions. Or if you think it is good enough, we have your backing and we submit that to authority for approval. And Ambazonians will see that in that document, in that proposal, there are lots and lots of checks and balances and lots of transparency and a lot of accountability where, I mean, you'll be God smart if somebody gave you the figures for all the donations that Ambazonians have made in the name of this war from 2016. I want to go back as far as 2016 to date. And the questions you can ask yourself is, how much of this money can we account for? And if we cannot, why not? Now, if you ask yourself these questions and then look at what we are proposing, you can see that there are lots of answers that will come out from there. And one thing I would rather we will look at it later, of course, is what is the role of leadership? What is the role of leadership? Oh, but can you? Oh, you're on the phone. Looking through the code of ethics of members of government, which my brother, one of your team members here, Comrade Peter Tansia, shared with me, there is a lot of expectations on that document that we, as members of government, are expected to live up to. And this structure that we're presenting would reflect the kind of the level of expectation that we anticipate from members.
Can I come in?
So,
Can I come in, Nijo?
of course,
Nijo.
ma'am.
Okay.
Anytime. Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the structure, and the structure is of the Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization, and it is
Perfect.
divided into the SOS and the deputy SOS. So,
Correct.
and each one, I see you guys have their individual roles and responsibilities. So,
Correct.
to be ethical, how do you guys communicate with each other so that you can monitor the activities to avoid inappropriate use of our funds? How do you guys, between the SOS and deputy SOS, and how do you guys make sure that we do not have a repeat of our finances disappearing? How are you guys communicating so that we cannot come back in the future and say, oh, I wasn't aware. How are you guys maintaining that? That's what we want to hear. because we want
Beautiful.
Ambazonians to be very comfortable when we are donating our money. We want to make sure that we are not going to hear different stories again in the future, so that accountability you talked about and transparency. How are you guys ensuring transparency and accountability in your department?
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the question. And it would appear you were in our meeting. Now, as a teacher, one of my leading rules of teaching is you start your learners from a position where they know what is happening exactly, and then you can take them to a position where you want them to be. And in this case, we are starting looking at this structure, and what we know is that there has been a lot of funding raised to fight this war that has either been embezzled or is unaccounted for. So that is the position we know. And correct me if I'm wrong, and we're looking at the finances for this struggle way back from, we don't want to go down the books of the SCNC and the other organizations that led up to the creation of the interim government. We want to focus, or we focused our minds from when the war was declared on Ambazonians and how Ambazonians reacted. And we know that before the 2017, there have been a creation of lots and lots of organizations to take care of this. What names, we are not interested, but we're only looking at the flow of money. And from 2016 to date, the amount of money that Ambazonians have donated wholeheartedly, sacrificed with all goodwill to sponsor this war to date, if we were to sum it all up and give you the figure, and some of you probably have an idea what I'm talking about, it's a huge, huge sum of money. Now, you would be disappointed to note that less than half of this money has actually been spent on the home front for the war. Now, what has happened to the rest of the money? It's either been embezzled, it's either been mismanaged. And when we talk of embezzlement, there are so many different pockets of embezzlement. So people can embezzle by claiming that they're carrying out projects that never, are never surfaced and never realized. People can embezzle by claiming that they're bringing you a dealer to supply items that they don't sell. People can embezzle by taking public money into private accounts. That's still embezzlement. And as things stand, as recently as a few months back, before the coup plotters came in, the amount that we're being told on social media is that $110,000, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I read on social media, about $110,000 was removed from Ambazonians' coffers into private accounts. Now, that's a huge sum of money within the last 12 months. And we that is just under embezzlement. And then we can look at all the other aspects of mismanagement and unrealized projects and the rest of it. Okay, that is the position we know.
So how are you guys preventing private people from embezzling any longer? So tell that to our listeners, yes.
So we move from the known position, we all know of this, to what we don't know and what we're trying to avoid. And then that's where the structure comes in. And so if you look at that structure, it's a pity we can't have it on the screen, on the monitor, but we would make this available after the program to your viewers. At the top there, of course, it says the Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization. So from the implication of the name, we split two distinct functions. So we have, if we have one Secretary of State for Finance and Resource Mobilization, the team thought that we should have one Deputy Secretary of State in charge of finance and another Deputy Secretary of State in charge of resource mobilization. So in that position, the top three staff of the team would be the Secretary of State for the Department, Finance and Resource Mobilization, with their two assistants. Now, if we focus our minds at the moment for the finance, what is it we have in mind when we talk about finance? We're not into the National Treasury. We are not where the money is stored. We are where we have the figures and we're dealing with. And so the Deputy Secretary of State for Finance, their role will be to work with a team of people who liaise with the National Treasury and serve defense. And the question is, why those two? Now, finance, assume, is money. Where is that money kept? In the Treasury. And what do we spend it now on? Our priority is self-defense. So if we're to leave it there, we have $1,000 in the National Treasury. We want to track it, how it is spent. The most likely position is with the ARF, and that will be on self-defense. So we will need a desk in that finance department to keep an eye on all the money that is in the Treasury and make sure it is spent on the Department of Self-Defense. Now, we don't want to go into the nitty-gritties, whether they're buying boots or granules or sticks. That's another cup of tea. Now, when that is done, then we can keep an eye on that $1,000. Just bear in mind that we are only interested in $1,000 at the moment. So it is in the Treasury, so we will need somebody to keep an eye and work with the ladies, the Iron Ladies of the Treasury, to say, this is $1,000 that belongs to Ambazonians. We know that if we have to spend it judiciously, it's for the self-defense. So we are going to liaise. We get Mr. X to be liaising with you and self-defense to make sure that the Secretary of State for self-defense is aware that he has $1,000 there to spend. And how you're going to spend that again is a different story. Now, the next desk in that department, ma'am, you okay? You want to ask a question before I move on?
No, go ahead, finish your thought. Finish that thought.
Okay. Thank you. So the next desk in that department would be that of draft redemption. We're focusing on draft redemption because as things stand, that is our number one source of income. Because there could be other sources of income, but we want to focus on where 95% of our income is the draft. So we will need a desk in the finance department whose function is to support those counties that have been drafted to redeem their draft. How do they do that? When do they do that? Do they have a time limit? That is a function of that official to make sure that they're working with the county that we drafted last week. At what stage are they? Bowie, have they contacted all their the donors? Have they collected the money? If not, why not? That's somebody's desk. They have to make sure they're supporting the counties to do that, to make sure that money is paid into the National Treasury for the Department of Self-Defense to use. Now, we need another desk to make sure that when that $1,000 that has been donated to Bowie gets into the National Treasury, it is distributed as stipulated. So whatever percentage goes to the government, he makes sure that money goes to the government. It should not be more, it should not be less. If the $1,000 is there, that amount should be paid. Because we've gotten to a situation where counties have drafted and they're sitting on the money and the government needs money and they don't want to pay their 20%. Or counties are drafted, they need to pay 30% to this department, they're not paying, and the money is there in the National Treasury. So now, bear in mind, we're thinking about checks and balances, transparency, and accountability. So that official's desk is to make sure that out of that $1,000, The amount that is supposed to pay to the national treasurer has been paid. The amount that is supposed to pay to the county has been paid. The amount that is supposed to pay to self-defense is paid. And then the last desk in the finance so far is the project's execution. The project we know is to be executed by self-defense. So that desk will be working day in with self-defense to make sure that the money that has been assigned to self-defense is being used. Now, there's two of them. One is making sure that the money in the treasury assigned for self-defense is available. That's desk number one. Desk number two, projects execution, is to make sure once the money leaves the National Treasury is on the desk of self-defense, it is being used for the projects and nothing else. That is to make sure there is the typical ethics of finance where there is checks and balances and there's transparency and there's accountability. So we can track that $1,000. We can track that $1,000 from the donors to when it is spent. Now, you can ask what happens if this is not happened, this is not happened, but we can tell you that once that money has left a donor's pocket and is in the National Treasury, we will trace it and make sure it is used as it's supposed to be used.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very excellent, Ni. I think I'll enroll to be a student in your class. Your explanation is very
Yes.
clear. Yeah, I have a
So,
question.
Please,
I'll ask a
please
question.
don't take that as a joke, because we're looking for
Yeah,
volunteers
yeah.
to join this department. Please don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that
I
as a
mean,
joke. We would really welcome you to come. We need these roles performed by human beings, so we would really need
Yes.
volunteers. Okay.
Yes.
When you're
Now,
happy, I can move on to the other desk of the deputy resource mobilizer.
I think
Okay,
Dr.
I
Ndula
thought,
has a question.
All right.
Doc,
yes,
yeah,
I
I'm
had a
happy. I'm happy to
question
take a
too.
question.
Yes, yes. Nijo, thank you very much for this elaborate presentation, and thanks for honoring our invitation. I have a question there. You know, I mean, there is this those people who miss seeing the elephant in the narrow corridor, it being the people's interim government headed by President Sako, and our institutions and our departments and us trying everything to be one, and to think more of those who are bearing the brunt of this fight of home front. You will ask them for, say, oh, come donate money here, come do your draft in your LGA and your county. They say, I've sent it to the boys. I've sent it directly to at that time ground zero and all that, with all such flimsy excuses. So I mean, we would want to know, like, at the grassroots, the LGAs, the counties, it's the department of is your department connected with the LGAs, the counties, and how all this, I mean, the sense of it, that everything has to be coming together so that we really make an impact. Not everybody doing his or her own thing and saying, oh, I've sent money to home front. So that's my question.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Again, I started by, paying homage to your professional ethics and sacrifice in this struggle since we've been there. And I mean, looking at your county, Ngokutunja, they set so many examples on accountability and transparency. And I'm ever so proud to work with your team, particularly Chairman Claude. And in fact, everybody, it's unfair to just mention him, but he is outstanding. But the team in Ngokutunja is so committed to this struggle that we must pay this homage to them. You would be pleased to note that the question you have asked leads us from the Department of Finance onto the Department of Resource Mobilization. Now, the wordings of your question means that this money has not gotten to the Treasury, so it's not under finance. We still have to get that money into the Treasury. So it takes us over to the resource mobilization. So the money is still in the LGAs, it's still in the donors' pockets, or is there or not. We now get to move away from finance to resource mobilization. Now, I just need you to confirm that that's a good starting point, because your question is, how do we get this money? Is that right? Did I get the
How
question right? I don't want to be answering a different question.
Yeah, the question is just generally like being in connection with the grassroots, with the LGAs, the counties, how your department is effectively doing that and assuring the Amazonian people that, yes, it's not just like the IG out there, the departments doing their thing, and then the LGAs, the counties bearing the brunt of everything, and then we allow things trickle down to them if we want to.
Yeah, so right. Thank you. So that means my
And we're looking at the finances for this struggle way back from. We want to limit. We don't want to go down the books.
right.
Sorry for
Are
that
we?
glitch.
It looks like I'm in front of a mirror and seeing myself or hearing myself talk. So
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So
Sorry for that,
Doc, I
Mr.
was right. Yeah, I was right to say that question leads us onto the next department. So again, we were looking at the structure of finance. So that money has actually been donated and it's in the treasury, and we were tracking it. But your question is looking at how to get this money in. So that technically moves us to the Department of Resource Mobilization. And we have another Deputy Secretary of State's desk. And that Deputy Secretary of State needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possibly persons, desks in that office to work with. The very first desk would be that of officers who would be liaising with counties and LGAs to mobilize them to support the war. That's one person. And that person's working principles is they are in contact with the counties and LGAs, helping them, training them, giving them ideas, giving them suggestions, and telling them if you're having issues collecting money from donors or fighters or just villagers who want to support this is what you should do. This is who you can advise and contact to. So that somebody's desk. There could be 2, 3 of them on there liaising with different counties, and to be more effective, I think the government could be such that every staff there liaises with one county. So we would have 13 of those desks there, and one person takes charge of one county. So somebody will take care of Mezam, somebody will take care of Ngokotunja. The person taking care of Mezam would work with the 7 LGAs in Mezam. He would know them, they would know him, and they would organize training. They would say, if this is he would understand what issues in Tuba are, he would understand what the issues in Santa are, and they would put their minds together and come out with a training and get the support coming, sensitize people, make people aware that this is what we need to be successful in this war. The next desk is that of fundraising strategies. So if somebody is liaising with Mezam and they realize that one of the LGAs, Bamendankwe LGA, my LGA for instance, is struggling to raise money. So there are different strategies, there are different things you can do within an LGA to raise funds. So that liaison officer would work with my LGA to say, if we've tried this has not worked, could we try this? Could we try this? And remember, these are specialists, so they would know what strategies to use. If we're going to run church services and announce for the population to raise funds, we know that churches raise funds during offerings. You can work that around and get churches to support the struggle. If that's a strategy. If the strategy is to look for all the diasporans in my LGA, that is a strategy. He will work with my LGA to come out with that strategy. So we need a desk that will work on the various strategies, and each strategy might be designed to work depending on the LGA's needs, because people are not the same. The challenges in Bafut LGA are different from the challenges in Santa LGA, for instance, or the different from the challenges in Bali. So those officers will know what to do in each position, what strategy to use. If it's a common strategy for the whole county, fair enough. Then they would have worked it out and they can do that. Now, we need another desk to have a database. And UN has repeated this over and over and over. We need a database. And for all of us working, you would agree with me that once you have established a database, you can always consult on that database and rank your donors. It's a bit obvious that when you do a donation, some people will donate more than others. But we know the good book also says, to him that more is given, more is expected. So if we have a database and we have donors who have deeper pockets, from your database, from the number of donations, you can tell and you can make special appeals to them. Mamanka, I don't think there is a county that has drafted without writing a letter to Mamanka. I don't think they're making a mistake because they know the level of commitment that in this revolution. So sorry, ma'am, but you are a very good example for the donors that we have on our database. So I will use you as an example, and I hope you pardon me for that. So these are some of the things that once you have a database, you can tell who to contact. It is fundraising. You need to know the people you are working with to be effective. And so that desk would have that database, and they will call Mezam and say, make sure you have written a letter to Mamanka, you have written a letter to this person, have you phoned this person? Those are fundraising.
Can I come in for a second? Can I come in?
Ma'am. Yes.
Yes. So you are giving a lot of our strategy out to coup plotters. What you resource mobilization is doing is extremely good. I've been trying to figure out if I should text you and like, please don't talk about that any longer because they're learning. We need this money for ourselves because we have a lot of work to do on the ground. So if you, all the viewers, you guys are watching, you can see the interim government under Dr. Sako is doing everything possible to raise money to save us. So I'm going to, even though I interjected to stop you from elaborating more on how we are resource mobilizing, I'm going to ask Pastor Commando to come in and take over and ask something else. Could you do that, Pastor?
No, thank you very much, Mamaka.
Sorry. I'm going to be a bit politely stubborn here. Let me just mention to Amazonians one thing, and then I finish the desk. I make sure I wouldn't go into details. One of the things we need to bear in mind, Amazonians, is we are progressing. Okay, we need to prepare our minds to work with opposition. When you have opposition, when you have competition, it enhances production. Let us share ideas. You can have an idea, but to get it to work is the challenge. And as a country, as a nation, we need to educate each other, share good practice. That moves the whole country forward. There's no point us working and hiding things. These are not secrets. It's education. And when you're educating, when you have a class of 10 students and you teach them and set a test, rarely do you have the 10 students all score the same marks. Then you are a wonderful teacher. You will have somebody score 10 out of 10, a few of them, some will score 9. And surprisingly, you might still have some have score 4. So let us share the knowledge. And those who can pick the knowledge and make it work, Ambazonia progresses as a nation overall, and we have a good practice. The two last desks, Commando, just before you come in, without giving analysis, is we need a desk on the resource mobilization desk to acknowledge and appreciate. So write letters to people. Again, you don't want me to analyze, but they would need to acknowledge that this person pledged this amount of money and that money has been paid. The next desk will be that of graphics and flyers. We will need a desk that will design our flyers and, of course, advertise the draft sessions for every county. And with that, you would see that on the desk, in the office of the Deputy Secretary of State for Resource Mobilization, we would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 desks, as I mentioned, and as many staff as possible. While on the side of finance, we needed just 5 desks to be there. And again, if we wanted to be more effective, we can assign an individual per county so that they can get into the nooks and corners. As the old saying goes, the more the merrier. So thank you, ma'am. Sincere apologies to Ambazonians who think that I was letting the cat out of the bag. That was not the purpose. It was educating. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Nijo. Listening to you, connecting with our ethics department and what is required, I think you have given us not only education, but some practicals in that you are doing what you are saying. If just writing down in a paper and coming and reading it to us here, I'm so glad that you were not instructed and given what to come and say. You had to just get the tip of the iceberg, and today you have expanded and expatiated that which I will agree with you that some of our fallen recalcitrant delinquent brothers who are Ambazonians can also learn from here and be able to help themselves and help somebody tomorrow. Like you always quote, you call it a good book, but I say that that good book has an author who allows his rain to fall on the good and the bad. He allows the crops of the native doctors to yield fruit as well as those who are worshiping him. So our education and our ethics as Ambazonians transcend every faction and every department and every group that is out for evil. Now, when we give them the good, we expect that they should come in and follow up with the good. Now, my question, after this expertise on how to collect the money, put it in the treasury, get it across to the LGAs and to the counties, my next question is, does your department have the ability to follow up with the counties if the projects are to be executed, to reach the executors that should execute the project? Meaning that when money is given for a particular LGA, for a particular project that they come up with, is there any vehicle, any link in your department to follow up to the point that the LGA or the county requesting for this money actually carries out that activity and it reaches the executors to carry out the project?
A simple answer to that is a double yes. Why double yes? 2 desks. 1 desk, the first desk, is the desk that liaises with the National Treasury and Self-Defense. If you have the structure, if you look at that desk, that is part of their duty. And to ensure transparency, we have a projects execution desk. So the second, that's why I said a double yes. So the first desk is that liaising with the National Treasury and Self-Defense that will make sure that the funds are actually in the National Treasury. If the National Treasury confirms those funds are there, then the Department of Self-Defense has to work with that LGA to make sure the project is executed. We're not going to leave it there. We have a desk whose particular duty function is project execution. They have to then follow up with the LGA to make sure that the project has been executed. That's desk number 4 in the Department of Finance. So yes, and if that makes sense, a double yes. Pastor Commando, you are being distracted.
Yes, thank you very much. I got you. well, I may not ask that one here, but it's a rumor. When most of these boys complain that the money that has been collected has not reached their hands. One person has chopped it, one person has not gotten it. They who are fighting on the ground have not gotten it, and all those kind of stuff. I don't know if you do hear such language and from such individuals. And I don't know if your department can confirm that that is true, that when a support is given down there on home front, some guys prey on it and others just stay like that. So
Yeah, Mr. Commando, one of the things I would say is that we need to step back and see how all of this started. Okay, we weren't ready for this war. Most of the transactions we've been doing have been trial and error. When you jump into the dark, you don't know where you're landing. This has
right.
been this has been the way this war has been managed from the IG, and in most cases we have been successful. Let us not let negativity dominate the positivity that we have achieved. If I take my LGA for instance, I have not designed a structure and left somebody in my LGA saying, when we have $1,000, we would pay into your account and you give it to fighter X, Z, or Y. We haven't designed that. We when this war started on us, we gambled and said, okay, we have fighters in that LGA. We trust this person. The word there is trust. Oh, I know this person. I can give this money to this person, and this person will give this person. 60-70% of it has been successful. But I tell you what, even in governments like those of La République, under which this current we are fighting this war, their structures are as porous, are more porous than what whoever is giving
We have
this
been trying.
complaints to. I am not I am not denying the fact that some of the money gets missing. I'm highlighting the fact that we need to highlight achievements that we have made ahead of the little setbacks that we have experienced. And some of these setbacks are not designed. Some of these setbacks are due to the circumstances of the war.
Right.
If we had planned this war 3 years before 2016 and said, in 2013 we are putting maps, we would call George, call Peter, call Paul, and agree and go to a credit union, create an account, knowing that in 2013 we can create those accounts in the credit union. When this war starts in 2016, we're going to pay money into that account for Paul, Peter, and just to go and remove and give X fighter
Right.
this. And we can go
Right.
back and trace that after the war, we gave you the money, you did not give it. No, we didn't have that opportunity. The war dawned on us and we reacted. And in all fairness, I think we should be celebrating the successes we have made, in as much as condemning those who have used the war to their benefit. But
Yeah.
it doesn't give away. We cannot paint the picture that everybody who has been involved in this struggle has squandered money. No, people have been
No, no,
genuine.
no, that cannot be.
That
It
one,
cannot be.
we have the good
I
ones.
found it. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my grandmother always said that when you know that a family is big in the village, you would have one of their children a thief, one of them will be a carpenter, one will be a shoe mender, one will be a governor, one will be a fund. That is a big family. You need to know
Right.
how to manage those people. Otherwise, it's not a big family.
You're quite right. You're quite
That's
right,
right.
Nicho, because we have to learn to see the cup as being half full, and
Thank you.
all the little things that go wrong. I mean, it's like you
Yeah.
send somebody do this for sticks and granules and all that. You are not there to control all those things. You can be happy that
Yeah.
70% of that that
Exactly.
transaction went through. That is already a high turnover. And when we sit and evaluate all that and see how we get better, the coup plotters and the haters of this revolution, they will see it as major setback and trumpet upon it and shout it out and don't care. They fail to see the big picture. How you, as you said it, that we are moving in the direction. We have institutions, we have defined people who do this and that, not anybody doing, having being a contractor and then doing things as if everything is coming out of his or her own pocket. So we are specialized now, have different departments, and we run it more effectively now. Of course, all that for our people at the home front, bearing the brunt of this fight, and for our refugees and those in the La Republique dungeons, concentration camps, they call prisons. So let us be generous in contributing our money, knowing they are in safe hands. You say, oh, I don't want to pass through the National Treasury. Go to your LGA and to your county. And even if you go there, you say, I don't trust some of these people, get into the finance committee and then be the person keeping that money and saying, yes, okay, now I'm sure that it is like this, like that. Stop giving flimsy excuses while our people are being murdered
Thank
on
you.
daily basis
Thank you.
back home. So every cent counts. Yes. Thank you.
Flimsy excuses, indeed. And just before I hand over the microphone to you, Dr. Ndola, thank you very much. But I need to say something, and please just let me finish. And I know some of your viewers might not like my very beginning of what I'm going to say, but please listen to the end. We need, as a government, to avoid mass thinking. Mass thinking is the worst thing that we can promote. Mass thinking is a scenario where you expect everybody to be thinking the same like you. No, that's the worst thing we would want in Ambazonia. I am very pleased that we have to deal with the coup plotters in our milieu. And I'll give you a reason. That's why I said your viewers might not like what I'm saying. We need, as a nation, to allow opposition to strive. If we are living La République, where every party falls under the CPDM, and we are creating a country where we expect every person to dance to your tune, that is very dangerous, and we would not be making any progress. I am not encouraging the coopers, but I'm saying, as Ambazonians, we should learn from the experience of working with the coopers. It will always happen in a democratic society. People will think differently. And as an emerging nation, I think we should encourage that. What you need to do is convince the people who are not with you to see why they should join you. You cannot stop them from joining someone else. You can only do that by convincing them, telling them you are a better leader than the other person. That is the bottom line. So, and as young as we are as a nation, I think the coup plotters have opened a branch in our governance that should challenge our authority. It should not crumble us. It should not scare us. It should not make us become enemies to them. We should accept them for thinking differently, but then work out how we can work with them, because we are
Wow.
one country.
Yeah, that is excellent. I think this is where our ethics is being looked into. How do you look at the coup plotters? Have they become exactly La République? The difference will be if they are fighting against us is to take us to Yaoundé.
Yeah.
But if they are fighting and they are all calling Boya, 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 trying to go their own way, I think that phrase is very powerful. We have opened up the door for democracy. And that's why all the other groups that came up and tried to project themselves to be frontline leaders, our president did not see the reason to leave them behind. when he negotiated the Swiss talks,
Yeah.
that they came in and tried to play the game that they tried to play and do everything that they have done just to promote the interim government to go ahead. I think that is excellent, Nijo. We
Yeah.
need to
Thank
have
you.
professors like you to come into this
Thank you.
government and then keep us on the move.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we are saying that most of the coup plotters that went out without actually understanding what was going on and
Exactly.
went out through speculations
Yeah.
and blackmail, and eventually they discovered that the chief coup plotter who was shouting thief, thief, thief could not prove the
Yeah.
thievery. And then it turned around that he was the man of the deal, all the fake
Yeah.
deals. And then he turned around to be noted as the person who is actually a liar in the whole business.
Yeah.
Now, all the people he acclaimed to be the right people, because he had a project, he had a plan, he had a program, he had to forge himself and became what he thinks he has become. So, what we are simply saying is that our democratic and ethical adherence in this government
Yeah.
has opened up
Thank you.
to the international community to know that no, this particular government in place can stand the test of time.
Yeah.
In that,
Amen.
Yeah.
That's it.
we can stand because of our ethical values. We
Yes.
allow them to do the best that they can do.
Absolutely.
The,
Absolutely.
the good book says, not by the words of your mouth, by the
But by your deeds.
actions, by your fruits, we
Yeah.
shall know them. So if you
Correct.
say that you are this person, we wait until the manifestation in action proves that you are that person. And that's
That's
what
it.
the interim government has proven to be. So we are
Absolutely.
very, very grateful, Nijo, for these ideas and what you have in mind for the Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization. Mamanka and Dr. Tom, I think we can relax that we are getting into very good hands as far as the finances and mobilization is concerned in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, in this interim government, where our president, Dr. Sako, has proven beyond doubt morality to the point that all the people who had pointed fingers are now ashamed. But we have opened the doors and told them to come back. Since there is no proof, please come back. That is what our ethics stands for. That you can
Yeah.
come back and we pull on because we are in a democracy. Your ideas at the time that you are shouting with the ideas is because you have been given wrong information. And when the
Correct.
right information manifests,
Yeah.
don't be ashamed. Come back home because you are a righteous man. You are a good man. You can move with good people and straightforward people. So our time is running out, and I'm going to give to all of us in the studio, especially our panelists, to say their final words. And then I will ask our resource mobilization one or two more straightforward questions from the ethics department with a yes or no answer. Because if I give him the questions and ask him, feel free, we may not be able to go away from here. It's difficult for the teacher to say yes or no. All right. So, over to you, Dr. Tom. Your last words to our people listening today. And
Yes.
then,
Thank you. Fellow Ambazonians, you've heard from the horse's own mouth, the no-nonsense Nijo, and by extension, his combe Ma Irene, who over these years have drafted millions upon millions of dollars for to prosecute our revolution, and are doing a good job doing that. And the department has been structured and specialized, and we've learned over the years. So just as you see that department, in the Department of in the Treasury, the Department of Finance, people are there from all the LGAs and counties also. So it is not just a national thing that, oh, the IG is there and then the people, the grassroots, the LGAs, the counties are there. Everybody is present. You have 13 people from 13 counties with 26 eyes looking at the same thing and with checks and balances. So you can be sure your money is in the best of hands at our National Treasury, and that the resource mobilization team is ready to come and then boost your fundraising capabilities and morale whenever you need them. So thank you, Nijo, for coming on board and keep up with a good job.
Thank
And
you.
a shout out to all our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces on the home front, on whose shoulders this revolution stands. Thank you.
Mamanka, your own now. Go.
Yes, I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in. Nijo,
Ma'am,
we appreciate resource mobilization in a way that you have no idea. You and your
thank,
combi, Ma Irene,
thank,
you guys are doing a great service because war is fought with finances.
yeah.
Without you guys mobilizing every week, sitting down during the week and strategizing on how we are going to get funds to be able to move on and run this war that was declared on us by the evil republic. We are appreciative and thank you again. The ethics that you guys are now implementing in your department, the ethical principles that did not exist, that you guys have taken over, are now making sure, drawing up a structure of the organization that did not exist before, creating checks and balances so that our money, when we give it to you, we know that it's safe and sound. We see you do it on a weekly basis when you tally right after the fundraising. Even just before the fundraising closes, you start tallying. You start telling us the money is at this level. The money is at this level. Can we push it to a little further? Is there another donor who can give in? We see you doing that. That is pure transparency and accountability. Now you are again injecting in and talking of how the money is going to our restoration forces on the ground, how you are working hand in hand with the counties and the LGAs. We want to appreciate Ambazonians. We did not have, like Nijo explained, it's not like we knew. Nobody's ever executed a war in our own account, in our country, in Ambazonia. We have been learning as we have been going, and we have been perfecting it. And our Ambazonia is going to be even more perfect by the time we reach there, because all these structures will not go away. All these ethical principles in the different departments will be transferred to Boya when we get there. So thank you for coming to explain to us how you guys are doing, how our money is being kept and safe, so to run our projects. Ambazonian people, please do your best to contribute, because we know that our money is safe and it is going to go to the Ambazonia Restoration Forces in home front. Thank you. Over to you, Pastor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mamanka. Nijo, I think Mamanka has said it all. And we really very much appreciate the resource mobilization. Not you now, but the resource mobilization. because the victory of the captain is the victory of the whole group. So, so we really appreciate and thank you so much for. But we want us to find out: does the Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization have a copy of the ethics code?
If you can hear me, um,
Sure.
yeah, my twin brother in your committee, whom I missed tonight, Comrade Danse Peter, is my twin
Okay.
brother. If you know what that
Okay.
means, but
Yep.
we have different parents, but our life has been a mirror image of each other. So he's my twin brother. You
Okay.
know what that means? Yes, he gave me a copy.
Oh, good. What about the copy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia? Does your department have one?
Yes, an updated version from the same source.
That is perfect. That is powerful. All right. I think your professorship has turned around and you have given us the briefest of answers that you can get from a teacher.
Yes, yeah. I was
Okay.
trying to. I know you're trying to round up your program, but it would be unfair for me not to announce to Ambazonians who are still following. It's coming to midnight down on home front. Please turn up tomorrow to support K Town, to support Meme, to support our K Town. Everybody, every Ambazonian, we know one for all for one. We know what happened in that county a few months back with our children in school. We don't want to repeat that. We have ARFs on the floor who just need the resources to do a proper revenge. And I can assure every Ambazonian going forward, if you have sacrificed a penny, a pound, a euro, a dollar, a CFA, 1 franc, rest assured that money will be spent on home front, or whoever has misdirected it would account for it. That is the rule and finance is set up to do. Oh, fantastic. That is the structure. That is the proposed structure that Ambazonians would have been following my explanation, but it's there for whoever joins in later. Thank you, Mr. Producer or Miss Producer. It's been a wonderful experience to be at this program, and that is the structure that I was analyzing. And thank you very much. And we can always I think do you have a platform where people can ask questions in retrospective? After the end of this, somebody thinks about a question. I'm happy to take that anytime. Again, thank you for the
Okay.
opportunity, Dola and Mamanka, and of course, Pastor Commando, and your entire technical team in the background. I'm so grateful and humbled to have been part of your team tonight.
Thank you very much. If
Thank
somebody is
you.
down there and you have a question, please, Ni is not rushing to go. You can go
No,
ahead and ask your question right now. We have finished with our program, and I want to say that it has been very, very wonderful. And we do appreciate all of you who have stayed until this hour. So our program is over, but Ni is not yet over. So if you have a
thank you.
question, please, the lines are open. Go ahead and ask your question. All
And I
right.
will take
Ni,
a
we are
leave of
just,
absence. So I'm going to take a
uh,
leave of absence. Thank you,
oh,
guys.
No
okay.
problem.
Okay.
No
All
problem.
right.
Thank you.
All right.
We
Our
know your
program
plate
is
is
actually
your plate is
over.
full.
Yeah.
Your
Thank
plate
you.
is full. So, yes. All right. I think, oh, Ni, we are making a very big mistake. There is no phone number on our table. So the questions cannot be asked today. But we are looking
Okay.
forward to bringing you back.
Fine.
I'm going to talk
Absolutely.
to the Ethics Commission, Ni, and we'll
Yes,
make
we
a
will look
program
into
and
this.
bring you right back here.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Mhm.
I'm available.
we'll produce questions that will bring you back to the house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then
I'll be
we inform
privileged to do
our
that
audience
anytime.
to get
Thank you.
ready. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And
Thank you
Ladies
for
and
coming, Mr.
gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you here. I want to say good night to all of you and thanks a lot for the program. All right, bye for tonight.
We are not ashamed of the gospel. More than conquerors are we. I'm not moved by what I see. Only moved by the word of God. The champions and senior, everybody and senior, and senior, let's go there. The champions and senior, everybody and senior, and senior, we are champions. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. Champions say hallelujah, 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 champions say hallelujah.